Hey guys, Bible in a Year, episode 60. Had a great conversation off camera after last episode prior to us shooting this one. And we're going to continue where we left off yesterday. It was just so rich. So we're going to talk a little exile today, talk about circumcision of the heart, talk about Joshua to succeed Moses, the offer of life and death. These are some pretty significant passages. So let's just keep going. See you here in a second. All right, there we go. Episode 60. So had a question after last episode. I guess, and I'm not trying to be gross or anything, but I guess to eat the afterbirth nowadays is a thing for nutritional purposes, and we talked about this,
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's the why behind it. It's always the why.
always
Whether
the
you're talking
why.
about Paul in the New Testament, food sacrifice to idols, right? When you're in the New Testament, conscious, right? This is a matter of the conscience. The why behind it, like why if you're doing it for it seems like witchcraft purposes that we find out. We read last episode. If you didn't see last episode, check it out. But if it's for obviously it is a practice of witchcraft. We know historically, but if that's why you're doing it, obviously not a good idea. If you've never heard of that before, and a mom, finds that, this is good nutritional value, this is a practice. They see other nutritionists telling them to do this, and they take it, and they don't have no
and
conscience
then they
of
watch
it, no
this
knowledge.
episode and they get shamed
No,
by
you're
the
fine.
enemy.
Yeah, you're fine. Yep, you're fine. There's no.
Jesus
yeah,
says
you had
it's
no
not what
idea.
goes into you that defiles you, what comes out. We
Yep.
talked about the Jerusalem Council of
Council,
Acts
yep.
15.
Yep.
That was that whole deal.
Yep.
Look,
The
you just got to
why.
think about what you're doing.
What's
It's the
the
why
motive?
behind it.
Yep.
And you know what? Even before we get to the exile, just
ahead.
guys, listen, take a look. Exodus 30, verse 6. Okay? Exodus 30, verse 6. The Lord your God will circumcise your hearts and the hearts of your descendants, so that you may love him with all your heart and with all your soul and live. And that's what this comes down to.
Yep.
It really is a spiritual thing.
It is.
So when you look at where we finished up in last episode in terms of cannibalism and the eating of the afterbirth, they were practicing witchcraft at that time. And cannibalism, ultimately, and I'm not trying to state the obvious,
It's real.
Jeremiah's not eating humans.
Nope.
He trusted in the Lord for his
Yep,
sustenance,
that's right.
and God sustained him.
Yep.
No matter, and his conditions were horrendous.
Yeah, they were sieged. They were not getting food in. That's how that all takes place.
And he
so
still
people,
had
yep,
enough
no
to live.
chance. Yep, that's right. And God
It's
will
when
provide.
we start taking things into our own hands that things go
Can
off
I
the
maybe
rails.
throw something up, and maybe this will get edited?
Yeah, please.
As we're still on the afterbirth thing and the why, but this is real because we know a lot of people talk about this. They're always like, "Can you take the mark of the beast by accident?" Right? No, impossible. It's a will. Everything sin and obedience is an act of the will. It's just what it is. If you accidentally take whatever and do you think you're going to all of a sudden go to hell because you didn't know, or you? God
Did
is
I
not a
commit the
just God.
unpardonable sin?
Yeah, if you're worried about it, you didn't. You know what I mean?
right.
Like you didn't, if you're not, like, people who are dead in their sins, don't worry if they're alive in their sins. The dead don't think about those things. Before I knew Christ, because I remember it very well, I didn't think about, should I obey Jesus? I didn't think about heaven or hell. I just lived my life apart from God, doing it I was dead in my sins. But when I became alive, I started to see dead people. I noticed my mom was lost, my dad was lost, my sisters were lost, my friends were lost, because I was dead in Christ. So I didn't think about lostness or savedness, but I just thought about death, life, just death all the time, just living according to my sinful nature. But when I got saved and I became born again, all I can think about was life and those who didn't have it. I saw dead people. So, that would make no sense.
That's the motivation behind my posting of those statistics on Saturday. When I said, and I just posted West Virginia statistics, and our statistics are actually better than the nation. And yet our statistics are terrible in terms of people that are, I don't even pray. Or I don't even read the Bible. I don't even go to church. It's that they're not even thinking about it.
No, because they're
The
dead.
love of humanity has grown cold. There's not even a external respect for it in most cases anymore. And I'm not talking about, hey, we still are hanging on 51%. No, those statistics were just upsetting for me. Yeah. This is where we're at, and we have so much work that we have to do, you know?
Yeah, I could be wrong. For me, I think the work is easier when it's not cultural. I like when Christianity is not cultural.
Oh, no, I agree with that.
Yeah, and I know you do too. But I'm saying, like, I'm talking to them. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
I like that. Like, when I see that, like, I said 15 years ago, now the statistics are bearing this out. When I first started kind of sharing about youth ministry to our congregation for the year, I said, I am so hopeful for where youth will be, because their culture is getting darker and darker, and they're going to shine even greater.
Yes.
And they become, because you can only, in this kind of climate, you can only be a sincere Christian or you're not. There's no in between now, because it's not cultural. And not everyone's praying in the morning. Not everyone's reading, right? And so you stick out, and guess what the statistics are saying? Now, 15 years later, guess what? These kids are sticking, like, they're true, because you can only, if you're a true believer, you now are really shining bright in this darkness. So I'm one who's like, I don't like culture. Like, I don't like what happened in 300 AD. I don't like that Constantine made Christianity a national religion. It was the worst thing that happened for true believers. Again, that's a personal opinion. But again, we're not saying you have to adhere to that. But just history bears out that wasn't a good thing for the church itself, the true church, right? Those who were born again. But anyway, I'm totally jumped to the side there. But
it's funny. I'm trying to find those pictures from Saturday of the statistics.
Yeah.
And I can't seem to find them for whatever reason on my iPad. But anyways, I mean, just go back to my Instagram and you can look at it, or go back to my Facebook and you can look at it. So I want to show the people this passage from Deuteronomy 31. This is so significant. It's Deuteronomy 31, 14 through 29. I'm just going to start reading it, and then I'll go to the end. So 14, Deuteronomy 31, 14. Then the Lord said to Moses, now the day of your death is near. Call Joshua and present yourself at the tent of meeting, where I'll commission him. So Moses and Joshua came and presented themselves at the tent of meeting. Then the Lord appeared at the tent in a pillar of cloud, and the cloud stood over the entrance to the tent. And the Lord said to Moses, you're going to rest with your ancestors, and these people will soon prostitute themselves to the foreign gods of the land they're entering. They'll forsake me and break the covenant I made with them. And in that day, I will become angry with them and forsake them. I'll hide my face from them, and they'll be destroyed. Many disasters and calamities will come on them, and in that day they'll ask, have not these disasters come on us because our God is not with us? And I will certainly hide my face in that day because of all their wickedness in turning to other gods. Now write down this song and teach it to the Israelites, and have them sing it, so that it may be a witness for me against them when I have brought them into the land flowing with milk and honey, the land I promised on oath to their ancestors. And when they eat their fill and thrive, they will turn to other gods. You hear what he's saying? When things are good, you're not going to hang with me.
Yep.
You are going to turn to these other gods, and you're going to worship them. You're going to reject me and break my covenant. And when many disasters and calamities come on them, this song will testify against them, because it will not be forgotten by their descendants. I know what they are disposed to, even before I bring them into the land I promised them on oath. Now, jump down to verse 27. This is Moses now talking. For I know how rebellious and stiff-necked you are. If you have been rebellious against the Lord while I'm still alive and with you, how much more will you rebel after I die? And that's the history of Israel. Strong leader, strong faith.
Time of Judges.
Yeah, right.
They drop
but
out.
then Moses dies, Joshua dies, strong judge dies. So does their faith. Their faith dies too, okay? Assemble before me all the elders of your tribes and officials, so that I can speak these words in their hearing and call the heavens and the earth to testify against them. For I know that after my death, you are sure to become utterly corrupt and to turn from the way I've commanded you. In days to come, disaster will fall on you, because you will do evil in the sight of the Lord and arouse his anger by what your hands have made. And guys, listen to me. When you're reading about the kings, you're going to see this phrase. This king followed after the sins of Jeroboam. They followed in all of those ways. right up. So here's the big three: Jeroboam, Ahab, Manasseh.
Yep.
Those three kings, awful. And Israel's entire history after Moses is back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. They do somewhat better during David's time, somewhat okay during Solomon's time.
Yeah, Josiah.
Well, yes, and I'm not disagreeing with you.
Yeah.
But it's
better,
what this says.
better.
Josiah was fine,
Yep.
not the people.
Yeah, no, that's right.
David was fine,
Yeah.
not so much the
And it always says they missed out on doing something, whether it was but he failed to remove the high places. He failed to, you know what I mean? Like there was never, of course, again, they can't fulfill the law perfectly.
Do not turn aside from any of the commands I give you today to the right or to the left, following other gods and serving them. They chose relationship with other gods rather than the one true and living God, and it resulted in Assyrian exile and Babylonian exile.
That's why he uses the word prostitute. He uses the word you prostitute yourself because of the relational foundation. Because and think about why does someone, again, I'm not trying to be crude, but
No, right.
but why does someone go after a prostitute? It's a quick fix. It's cheap, on and on, right? It's an experience, on and on. Like they're trying to fill these voids in their life with these false gods instead of the one true God who's supposed to be, who's supposed to be husband, right? He says you've prostituted yourselves. You've forsaken this intimate, what's supposed to be an intimate relationship, and then I'm the one who's going to provide for you. I'm going to take care of you, And so again, that you just see Israel in this cycle, like you said, this going back and forth. Sometimes they do okay, and sometimes they don't. But again, that language is strong. That you've prostituted yourself. You sold yourself, in essence, out to provide for yourself or to seek these other things instead of the one true God who's promised to do all of that for you.
Yeah, relationship with the Lord ultimately is about fidelity to the Lord. It's not about did I do everything right?
Nope. Yeah.
You don't do everything right in your marriage.
Nope.
I don't do everything right
That's
in my
right.
marriage. But we have fidelity.
Yep. That's
I'll
right.
tell you that right now.
Facts.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So we're kind of coming to the end of this, and one of the most important passages of Scripture in the entire Bible is Moses' offer of life and death to Israel. Guys, just let me read this to you. It's Deuteronomy 30, 11 through 20. Now, what I am commanding you today is not too difficult for you or beyond your reach. Sheesh. It's not up in heaven so that you have to ask, who will ascend into heaven to get it and proclaim it to us so we may obey it? Nor is it beyond the sea so that you have to ask, who will cross the sea to get it and proclaim it to us so we may obey it? No. The word is very near you. It's in your mouth. It's in your heart so you may obey it. See, I set before you today life and prosperity, death and destruction. For I command you today to love the Lord your God, to walk in obedience to him, and to keep his commands, decrees, and laws. Then you'll live and increase, and the Lord your God will bless you in the land you're entering to possess. But if your heart turns away and you're not obedient, and if you're drawn away to bow down to other gods and worship them, I declare to you this day that you will certainly be destroyed. You will not live long in the land you're crossing the Jordan to enter and possess. This day I call the heavens and the earth as witnesses against you that I have set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Now choose life, so that you and your children may live, and that you may love the Lord your God, listen to his voice, and hold fast to him. For the Lord is your life, and he will give you many years in the land he swore to give to your fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And that's what it's about. It's about fidelity to God. And as long as we have fidelity with God, it's life and the blessing of the fruit of the Spirit, Galatians 5. But if we don't want to be pure and faithful in our relationship with the Lord, you're not even rolling the dice.
Yep.
You're playing Russian roulette, and every chamber of the gun has a bullet in it.
Oh yeah, and they understood this. It's when Jesus says, "What's the greatest commandment?" And it's the Shema. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Of course, the beginning, the Lord your God, the Lord is one. And then to love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. There's that relationship, that fidelity.
It's a common message throughout the entire Scripture.
Yes, it
You know,
is.
it was funny. I just wrote a paper about this too, and I love how that says that we don't have to go up.
Nope. And you know,
And we don't have to go to.
No,
And
he meets
when
us
you,
right where we're at.
well, and when you look at Philippians 4, here, let me just go there. It's so powerful.
Yeah, because he quotes this.
I'm not sorry. I said Philippians.
Yeah.
It's Ephesians.
Yep.
I don't know why I was thinking Philippians. Ephesians 4. But to each one of us grace has been given as Christ apportioned it. This is why it says, when he ascended on high, he took
Gave
many
gifts,
captives and gave gifts to his people. What does he ascended mean except that he also descended to the lower earthly regions? Okay, so I get the whole descent to the dead, but that's not what that's talking about.
Yeah.
That's talking about he brought it to us.
Yes.
He brought life and blessing
Yes.
to us.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus, I mean, that's
we can't get
that,
we can't
that's
work
Philippians.
For it.
I
We
don't
can't
know
go
why I said
so low in
Philippians.
humility that we get
No.
it, and we can't go so high in attainment that we get
But
it.
he literally
neither, yeah.
left the
Yes, he
right
did.
hand of God
Yes,
the
he
Father.
did.
He descended to us
that's right.
and brought life and
Amen.
blessing to us.
Yeah, 'cause he's
Won
only
the
one who could.
victory for us and
Mhm.
said, "Who wants to stand in victory
Yep.
with me?" It's just
That's
powerful.
it. We preach
so.
Christ crucified.
That's the
I love it.
message
It's
today,
good.
guys. God bless you. We got one more to go in the book of Deuteronomy 32 through 34. We'll see you tomorrow. God bless.